Greetings friends, it's me, Wayman29. This is a video going out to Minority Op. Great set of series on ideas of conversion and the conversion process and why people convert. Especially in video 3, I found it especially interesting where you talked about the prescribed answers, or the 4 issues when one discusses religion with a person who is of a belief system. And when I was in my angry stage after I left fundamentalism, I swore to know everything that they did plus more, and that was learning the conflict and the answers within the belief system to those conflicts. And but then I realized, which is why I love literature, the literature saves your ass every time. Because if you know the literature like the back of your hand, you can usually run circles around these prescribed answers. And it's a lot of fun, especially if you know the prescribed answer they're going to say. You can run them around in circles and then even make a complete circle back to the part where they didn't want to discuss. And that's where you usually drop the bomb, and you end up leaving, and they end up leaving, agreeing to disagree, because they realize that they in fact do not have all the answers. What's interesting is a lot of times they're reading the text according to their theology, and if you read the text just to read the text outside the theology, sometimes it casts a whole nother light on it, because within the theology they have proof texts to back up the theology as truth. And what's a lot of fun is finding one text that is the exception, that does not quite align with the theology. And if you bomb them with that, maybe it's good to have 2 or 3 of those texts. It's a lot of fun to say, well, how can this be true if this is happening? Especially the New Testament idea of no man has seen God at any time. I usually have fun bringing up the accounts of Jacob wrestling in the conversation Abraham had with the divine over Sodom and Gomorrah, where here Abraham, it's a beautiful story because he's calling God out on his actions, and he's holding the divine accountable to his own words as far as what is just and what is unjust. And it's great that in the text a human being gets to do that to a deity, and so I use that, and it's a lot of fun. I think I too play the game, and I've applied everything that I've learned to religion to constructs in secular society also, because it all applies. And when you talked about atheists using the same tactics, where you mentioned that the viewer doesn't want to be seen in that light, so maybe he'll leave his belief system or his religion and follow something else because he don't want to be taken for that. That happened to me. I didn't want to be called a fundamentalist, so I changed. But later I got reading the literature, and I really appreciate a lot of this stuff, and I can more understand it because I took the time to educate myself. So it's pretty easy to run circles around proselytizers and people who are signing up, especially new believers, and it's a lot of fun. I even see it as a sport. If I'm in a situation where one person's trying to convert many, I start throwing wrenches into the well-oiled machine, and where it's not for the benefit of the person who is proselytizing, but those who are listening, and handing out question marks to everybody to put in their back pocket to walk away with. And so after that, the message doesn't sound as airtight as it's presented, because I think that people need to have more question marks. They need a whole pocket full of them. and that's what I'm trying to do here on YouTube. And so yeah, I've been through that, and that's why I love the literature, because usually if you stick to the literature, it'll definitely save your ass in some pretty tough situations. And a lot of times the theologies, and sometimes even, what's amazing, the literature is conformed to match the theology. The literature changes. They change the literature to match the theology, which is pretty interesting. So if you can kind of figure out what came first, the literature or the theology, you could pretty much get a hold on what's going, when it changed, why it changed, and why are they saying what they're saying, why are they reading the text in the literature like they're reading it. If you have these multiple views, you'll be well armed. And people like Sam Harris do the same thing, like with ideas like the Skeptic's Annotated Bible. Makes my blood boil, because there it gives people free answers to all these inconsistencies and issues with the literature. However, they have no idea how they got there, why they're there, or why it's read like it's read. And that's what they need to know to really win. So, excellent videos. I think that even in Buddhism, they say that the hardest people to convert are your family members, and that's alluded to in the New Testament, where Jesus was supposedly rejected by his own hometown and whatnot. I think that most of the time, I don't know, from what I've read, I make the assumption that family members do not convert, as much as people think they do, to new belief systems. I'm not even sure. I hear stories from both sides, but that's just what I wanted to say. Excellent series of videos, and if everybody reads the literature, you'll be well equipped to deal with almost anything. And having multiple views of multiple things really can help you to run circles around people who seem to be pretty airtight. And I take great sport in doing that, for better or for worse. Hopefully, most of the time for the better. Do I leave some stuff out sometimes when I'm having people chase their tails? Yes, intentionally. I manipulate them. Why do I do that? Because they're trying to intentionally manipulate me, and it's a lot of fun giving them back their own medicine and coming around and telling them that you manipulated them, and that there are other examples, and that there are two views to it, really, and they need to make room for these exceptions in the literature, because there always are exceptions, which is really interesting. So take care, friends, and remember, if everyone's thinking alike, then somebody isn't thinking.